Hello and welcome to the Liverpool Connection podcast. It's a brand new episode. It's our Chrimbo special. I'm Daz. I've got Mr. Wilson. I've got Imani Williams. I've got John Gibbons. I've got Craig Hannan. We've got all sorts, and we've got the Jordan Pickford Christmas tree in the background. Hiya, fellas. Hiya, Imani.
Hiya.
I'm going to start out for John and Craig. Well done on Best Premier Podcast. Absolutely amazing, lads. Well done.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Yeah, it's nice to bring more silverware to Liverpool, and it was one that we hadn't. It wasn't a voting podcast, so it was one that was voted for by judges, which is always nice. So it was a nice start to the Christmas period.
Yeah, it did take us a little bit by surprise because of that. Because normally any of these things involve Craig have asking people for 2 months to vote for us, and
as you'll know,
and as you say, this one was a panel, and so we were nominated, so we were like, okay, and then obviously there wasn't an awards due to go to, so we couldn't even dust off the suits and kind of get down there, and so we I wouldn't say we've forgotten about it, but it wasn't necessarily kind of day to day thinking about it really, so it was a nice kind of surprise almost when it got announced.
I would say the last time that me and Gibbo went to an awards ceremony and won the award, we went out and celebrated afterwards, and for a period of time lost the award. There was like a big sort of I'd say a period of about 30 minutes of worry, and it turned out it was just on some random's table, so it's probably for the best that there was no awards ceremony this time.
Absolutely.
Somebody tried to nick it.
I think it just got misplaced, to be honest with you. At the time it got found, I was having a stand-up now with someone because I'd asked them if he'd seen it, and they were like, "Are you saying I've robbed your award?" And I was like, "Well, I'm not, but I just started just having a row with this person. I think there was a bit. It was in Manchester, so I think there was a bit of that going on as well. And then in the end, Craig tapped me on the shoulder, and went, "Oh, it's here, mate."
It was funny because all of this was happening, and I was on top of a chair dancing to like Oompa music, like the like the German music, and just looking down at Gibbo sort of kicking off with someone. But yeah, it turns out it wasn't anyone else's fault but ours, and
But I wasn't accusing anyone. I was just trying to get help finding me an award.
Alphonso Davies seemed pretty charged up to get his, so I mean, you guys are in a nice coveted club again there.
You get a free turkey dinner.
We got nothing. Obviously, just with the COVID and all of that, we haven't been able to do anything to celebrate. So today's kind of the celebration, really. It's the first.
Cheers.
Yeah, cheers. Happy days.
Go us.
Already on the beer.
Cheers.
Yeah.
There's no other way. I got my whiskey here. I'm just going to chug the whole bottle now.
I wish this was just water this morning. So let's talk about this amazing football team. Well, what's left of it. What's any news on Jota? Like, is it a couple of months? Is it?
There's no firm news. No, obviously the Liverpool rumour mill has gone into full overdrive. I'm sure you guys are hearing that because it's all sorts of online and everything. The club are saying that at the moment because of the swelling, they can't do a proper assessment on it. So I think we're just going to have to sort of wait and see. I mean, they've become very secretive about injuries anyway, haven't they? So even if they come out and say, "Oh, it's not too bad," that could mean anything, couldn't it? It could be like, "Oh, we still got a leg," because Thiago's been back soon for for about 2 months, hasn't he? So yeah.
New signing in January.
I know. Tell you, yeah. Me and Imani got some t-shirts to flog here. You know what I mean? And they all keep getting injured. What are they doing to us, mate?
Do you know what I was laughing at? I was laughing at Gibbo put up a tweet yesterday, and it was the Thiago t-shirt and the Jota t-shirt at the time that the internet was in a bit of a meltdown over Jota possibly being injured for 2 months. Yeah. That is the rumor at the moment. I haven't heard anything. I don't think anyone's sort of.
So are those t-shirts now on sale, discounted?
They're not discounted, no.
They're discounted from the start.
It's depending on the news next week. The number of months he's out for will be the number of percent.
So if anybody goes to the Anfield Wrap shop, there you guys are doing a T-shirt for a tenner. So we've got a T-shirt. Is it every day or every few days? There's
every weekday, every week.
Yeah, every day.
Nice.
So it's a pretty monster deal.
I think the academy coach is on a commission that however many appearances his squad gets in the first team, he gets a bonus or something. I don't know.
Yeah, they're doing well, aren't they? like I'm really excited about that, to be honest. I said in one of the shows the other day that it felt like there was a massive gap between sort of Gerrard and Sterling, really, in terms of the lack of youth talent that had come through, or anyone notable. Obviously, we had players like Flanagan for a little bit, but there was no one of real sort of world-class quality. And suddenly now you've got Trent, you've got Curtis Jones coming in. Curtis Jones looks the absolute business. He looks as if he's just sort of, he's got all of the talent in the world. He's got the confidence needed, but also he seemingly fits into Klopp's style of play as well. So, they're the two main boys, and also Nico Williams is getting games. Kelleher's done really well, I think. So I think it's a massively positive time for the academy, and especially at a time whenever they're going to be joined. Well, they are together now, aren't they? At the training complex in Kirby. That suddenly it's just closer, and you can see the pathway now if you're a young player at Liverpool.
Yeah, and you can't overlook the contribution that young Reece Williams has made to this squad as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, it's incredible.
That's the thing with this squad. We've had so many injuries, but every player has stepped up to the plate and put in shifts. And as I've said to you, Craig, before, with the amount of injuries we've had, I couldn't see any other team doing what Liverpool have done. I think they would have crumbled. Like if Spurs lose Son and Kane, they're done. I just can't see it. So yeah, I mean, this team just keeps on going and going and going. There's not too many words I can keep saying about this team, unless I have to use a dictionary. I don't really want to do that.
But we have time for that.
Oh, no. You don't want me to get out the thesaurus.
Mr. Beast has done it.
I mean, just evident that even with all these injuries, Liverpool is still the draw for television, and we're kind of upset here that they took us off Boxing Day. That's kind of something that we look forward to every year, to watching the match on Boxing Day, and then now they put it on the 27th instead.
Yeah, I've been relying on the Boxing Day fixtures to sort of get me out of family things for years.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And so I'm just wondering whether I can still pretend, like a husband who's lost his job but still puts a suit on to go to work every morning. I'll be like, oh yeah, off the game, see you later.
Yeah, just like everybody who's got tickets to Anfield, I'm sure there's about 7,000 or 8,000 people saying, well, I'm off to the match now, sweetheart.
Exactly,
I'll get you later.
Yeah.
I think there's more than 7,000, Imani.
Yeah,
there might be some guys that haven't told their wives that we've been on lockdown for 4 months, so they've just been going to work every morning.
You never know.
That's a question I have for all of you as well. What is your favourite Boxing Day match?
Ooh, that's so hard.
I really enjoy. It might not be an obvious one, but I really enjoyed when we beat Leicester City it was the year they won the league, actually, and I don't think they've been beaten at that point, so maybe only lost one game. And so Leicester came to Anfield, and whenever the team who were doing well and everyone's talking about them come to Anfield, there's always a bit of well, let's see what these are all about. You know what I mean? A bit of bravado from the fans, and we beat them that day. Benteke scored. And he scored a lot of winning goals, to be fair. Benteke obviously wasn't the best player for Liverpool, but that season, Liverpool won, the opposition nil. Benteke goals seemed to sort of happen a fair bit. So we had a big goal in him, and yeah, it just felt good. And then everyone obviously walked out going, they're not that good, which is the Scouse mentality to anything. But they were good, and obviously they went on to win the league. But Liverpool beat them that day, and that felt good because, as I say, they were a bit the darlings at that time, where they were the team that everyone was talking about. So it was good to remind everyone, at least for one day, that who Liverpool were.
One that always comes to my mind is 2005. Liverpool played Newcastle. I think this is Boxing Day. Gerrard scores.
Yeah.
And why it sort of comes to my mind is one of my best mates had from back home had got a ticket for his Christmas present, and I just thought at the time that was the best Christmas present ever. And he'd been surprised with it, and then suddenly the next day he's at Anfield and Gerrard scoring and making it 2-0, and and that was under Benitez. Obviously, the one that feels the biggest one to me was 2000. So it would have been 2013, the 13-14 season. We play Man City, and obviously we don't win that game. It's the one where Sterling playing for us obviously was called off as offside when he was nowhere near offside. That felt like a huge game at the time, but yeah, the 2005 one's the first one that comes to my mind.
Yeah, for me, I was gonna say like there's the 2007 Derby game because like that was, I think Torres scored in that game, and I think that was like just when he had signed, and it was like you knew it was like the beginning of something. Like that was like, okay, we're right back in the title challenge now. You can kind of sense it, even though that Derby team was crap. I think they only got 11 points the whole season. They were absolute shit. The other one I would say would also be that Man City game, because I remember I took one of my friends who had no idea what was going on. And remember, for us, I think that game was on at like 9 a.m., something maybe early. It might have been stupid early. And all of a sudden, like, I was watching at this bar where you have to go through the back door. Like, it was literally like a speakeasy. You had to go down a back alley, down these back stairs. And all of a sudden, you walk in this place, and there's like 100 people packed in there like sardines. Everyone's like screaming at the TV. Everyone was just livid. I just remember there were 2 calls made in that match that like just do not make sense. He was like well on too. He was like a yard onside. And I just remember the energy and emotion. And my friend, he was like a close family friend, like a brother to me. And he was just like, I understand why you do this now. Like, I've never been to like a sporting event like this where it's like super wicked early. Everybody's drinking. Everyone's like charged up, ready to go. Everyone's singing songs and stuff. Screaming at the TV. He's like, okay, I get the addiction now. I didn't get it before. I don't think there's a way to possibly get it before, but I do get it. So like that match will always stick in my head because it was like one of those things that could only happen during the holidays. People that you don't see, people that, for me, he lived all the way in California at the time. So that was like really, really special. But I just remember I was like such a big Fernando Torres fangirl. So the 2007 one, I just was like,
yeah. My game is the same one that you said, Gibbo. The Leicester game is that because I went over to my friend's place. You know, he's from Leicester, so he, you know, I show up full kit wanker for Liverpool. He's full kit wanker for the Foxes, yes. Right? And we're drinking, and I think it's an early game too. So we're drinking. But we do beat them. But then after the game, I said, you know, they're good enough to win the league, man. You should take a punt on it. And it was still like 500-1, right, at that time on the odds. And he did, no, man, we're not going to West. And after the season when they won, I said, man, we could have been on vacation somewhere if you put a punt down a little one even, right? So I remember that game.
The Bitcoin at that point, no, definitely not. Bitcoin at that point, definitely not.
Mine's actually going way back to 87. Because that's the last time I went to a Boxing Day match. It was the Leeds match when we won 3-1, and Owen and Fowler scored. I think Fowler scored twice. Yeah, so that's my favourite memory, just because I was there, so it's always good. That's all good because it's all varied, Boxing Day ones. But yeah, like Steve said, it's going to be strange not having a match on Boxing Day. But, we have so many matches to watch anyway, so it's going to be pretty crazy. Wednesday's the big one, for us, because hopefully we'll put Spurs back in their place and Jose can shut it for a while. Because one of my best mates actually is a Spurs fan, and he's already, talking the league up, just like my other mate who's an Evertonian. He was talking the league up for 4 matches. And now
we have so many bandwagon fans here for Spurs and for Everton because we've had a couple of US players play for them. And so we've got like all these random bandwagoners. I think Spurs got the new stadium just for them, just to fit in like more American tourists. And that I find like so annoying. It's just like,
I think I'm okay with Spurs fans getting quite excited because they should do their footy fans. You know what I mean? If you can't get excited by this, then when can you? I'm not on the same boat with Everton. I'd rather they just sort of, they're sort of the way that they were after the first sort of 3 or 4 games was interesting considering where they are now. And obviously they get a good result yesterday, and I was finding Everton 1-0 up when one of your title rivals, that when they're beating one of your title rivals, is a real sort of, it's a strange feeling to be in the last 10. Like do want Chelsea to equalise. I do. Every sort of fibre of my being wants Chelsea to equalise, but I don't for Liverpool. But that sort of thing. So it was difficult. But I think Spurs have been impressive this year, and they've got the players as well. Like, that's the thing. They've got the manager. Like, you could just see Mourinho in his way, especially with no fans in the ground or limited fans in the ground. You can see him doing that. But like I said, I think Liverpool have sort of they've been overcoming adversity for the past few years, and they've been doing it in a different way this season with the amount of injuries. And so, I fully expect Liverpool still to do it, and I'm excited for Wednesday. Wednesday is the big one, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I'm going on Wednesday. Actual going, not just telling me where I'm going. So I'm really looking forward to it. Missed out obviously in the ballots in the first game. Craig doesn't get to go in because he's a Wool.
Well, that's a promotion now, isn't it? That for you?
I've never had Boxing Day games either because I'm a Wool.
I'm just using it. No, obviously
promoted from the Christmas tree decorator.
No, obviously the way they do it, it's where your tickets are registered for it. It's got to be our postcode only and things like that. But it's all like, quite tricky, obviously, to get in at the moment. But I was lucky enough to get one. Didn't get in for the first one, but was made up for the guys, obviously, who did. And then, so to be in for this time, I can't wait. So I'm going to give him an extra cheer for everyone who's asked me to, which is a lot of people. But I hope that the crowd can make a difference, because, as we've all said, it's a big game, isn't it? And Spurs are playing as we record this. Should be pointed out here for people who were like, "Why haven't they just said they've just got walloped by Crystal Palace?" Like we do, this is sort of happening now, and then obviously sort of our games later, but. But either way, it's going to be a big game, no matter what happens sort of today. But yeah, hopefully the crowd can help, because I think we did, 4-0 in that against Wolves. Wolves are a decent team. And then you saw that with Everton as well, to be fair to them. I'm sure that, the fans helped them sort of see that out, and the fans helped them sort of keep it going and hold on to that win. So it's interesting. I think for those who can get even 2,000 in, it is a little bit of an advantage, I think. Not a massive one, but it wouldn't surprise me if the stats sort of show that you might start to get a few maybe complaining that they can't get supporters in at the moment. But for us, obviously, it's great, not just for the team, but for us as people who get to go as well, who've been missing it terribly.
Yeah, you can even tell, like, some of the Wolves players said it sounded more like 12,000 people, which is a testament to the fans. And it was great to see one of our mates went, Jeff Goulding, and he did a write up for This Is Anfield, and just in the writing you could see the passion, and he said he didn't stop crying from when he went in the ground to when he left.
He must have looked fucking mad.
Yeah.
We were worried about him.
Did he have a scarf? Did I see he had the scarf during
a little LFC Austin scarf going on? It was awesome. It was so awesome.
Another lad.
Oh, it was another guy. Okay, two in the house now.
Whoa! There was a few from the Anfield draft that were lucky enough to get in, and Robbo did a little video diary, and it was dead interesting to be able to see what it was like, because I was actually up at the ground doing social media, but obviously I wasn't able to get a ticket, or wasn't able to enter the ballot. Sorry, and it was strange in that it didn't feel normal. Nothing about the whole the surroundings of Anfield felt normal, in the way that everything was closed off, massive queues to get through at different checkpoints. There was a bit you had to go to show that you'd been tested or something like that. And it had this sort of eerie, creepy feel about the stadium. And so, when I was up around there, I was thinking, well, no, do you know what? I'm okay with not being in, because it's not going to be the Anfield that we all know and love, and the experience that you go to football for. It's still on the pitch. It's the same players, but it won't be the same. And I must say, as soon as I got back to the office and was watching You'll Never Walk Alone, I was made up for everyone in there. I was made up that it looked as good as it did, and they've obviously done a really good job as well with getting supporters, placing supporters in the way that they did in the Kop. Obviously safety, but obviously with the idea that they can still be vocal. I'm a bit jealous. I'd love to be going on Wednesday night, and it's sort of seeing people inside the ground and seeing that tiny slice of normality has it's got me excited for the fact that it should be the beginning, and it should be the beginning of the end of all of this in terms of, you know, football. There's massive problems in the world, and there's loads going on around COVID. So, you know, you have to sort of preface everything you say with that. But in terms of football getting back into the ground and getting fans back in, I mean, it's a really, really good start.
You know, being El Presidente, you know, we were definitely well chuffed seeing our LFC Austin scarf at that game, the first one. And, you know,
you paid him though, didn't you?
Yeah, respect out to Greg Heighton, you know, local Liverpool lad that got the scarf when he came down to Austin to visit, and he brought it to the match. And, you know, we plenty of respect for him to do that for us. So.
Yeah, it's super cool. And just as international fans too, we are thrilled to have fans back on the ground. It isn't the same. And Liverpool fans have such a strong connection to the club. And that's one thing that a lot of people around the world have been saying. It's like, we're happy for you. We're happy for the people that are getting back on the ground. Like, you know, there's no any sort of like, oh man, why only some people get to go or whatnot. Everybody's thrilled. And anybody who I think is a genuine Liverpool supporter that genuinely loves the club is actually thrilled to have everybody back, because it's just part of the atmosphere. No more pumped in, you'll never walk alone. My God, may it never happen again. It was just awful. Like, I don't like the idea of corporations and companies getting like too used to the idea that fans aren't there. Like, even like weird stuff like CGI Klopp hugs on FIFA. I'm like, they're getting way too comfortable with this, like, no actual people thing. So yeah, like, we're so happy you guys are back. And just, yeah, keep making noise, keep singing as you always do. That's great too. And I love all the little old people, all the little old ladies and stuff getting in there, getting loud and getting nuts. Like, that is one of my favorite things too. Passion. They're like, I don't care if I have to go out in a pandemic. If I'm going to get this thing, it might as well be at Anfield. And it's just like, they're living their lives. You know, they're like, we're just going to live our lives. Like,
I think what you said, like, is reflective in the city as well. Like, I know I'm not going to be able to get to go sort of anytime soon, but I mean, I was sat across from Gibbo whenever he was telling me that, you know, he'd got a ticket, and I could see how excited, and then that got me excited that he, you know, like that sort of thing. Same with Gareth going the other night is I was, like I said, I was with him just before the match, and as he went in, he was like fucking buzzing. He was talking about how he'd driven his car and he was driving it around, and he started to see the lights and he started to like get goosebumps. And I was like, you know what, this is brilliant. Like, there wasn't any sort of even in the office again, there was no sort of jealousy whenever we were watching You'll Never Walk Alone. There's a little bit of you is like, oh, I'd love to be in there. I'd love to sort of feel that again, or be in a cop again. It's been so long, but it's mostly just people being made up that fans are getting back in, and their mates are getting back in, and their mates are going to do all their shouting for them. And yeah, hopefully it is the beginning of sort of the end of this long road of football without fans.
You know, that it seems like it brings back that atmosphere or that experience that a lot of people from, you know, international people that come to visit Liverpool for the first time and go to Anfield, and they have that first time game experience, right? I think that brought that back to a lot of people that have gotten used to going to the games on a regular basis. So that's great to hear, you know, that of all these, the excitement and things that people are like, man, it feels like I'm a kid again going back to the stadium.
Yeah, that's it, mate. It's really like well summed up, that, because, you know, I've had a season ticket since I was 10, and, you know, there's obviously a lot of games I've been to now where you're like, oh, you know, I've got to get up there and get out of bed. Oh, it's raining outside. Do you know what I mean? It's just sort of natural. You get a bit like that. Then obviously once you get there, you sort of enjoy it and stuff, and you get into it. But, you know, I'll hopefully never, you know, take it for granted again. And I was like a kid on Friday. That is the word. Like, someone messaged me on WhatsApp saying that they got the email through saying they've been declined, and I was walking back through town. I've been the post office, and so I was walking back to our office, and I thought I would check my email, and I saw the successful, and I just wanted to jump up and punch the air, but the road was really busy, and I was like, I'm going to look crazy. Do you know what I mean? And so I just got back to the office, and then I was like, just say to Craig, like he just said, oh, I've got in, so happy, telling the guys downstairs, like, just finding anyone in the building, I could tell, and I was just like electricity through me, like, and it was like that feeling. I remember when my dad first took me, and he first said, I've got these tickets for this game, and showed me them, and it's a memory of, I think I was 8, but it's a memory I've always got him showing me, and me looking at these tickets, like, they were just incredible.
It's like Willy Wonka.
Yeah, like Charlie over here.
The golden ticket. I want to see that Instagram story.
And I think that's a feeling. Everyone's going to get that feeling again. So everyone's going to get that feeling when they go back into the ground, and whether it's you're one of the 2,000 that gets to go on Wednesday, or whether it's, you know, the next phase of 15,000 or whatever they try, or whether it's whenever it's all the fans back in, or it's next season, whenever we're all going to get that sort of new feeling again of like your first time going back. And like as you know, I've had it both ways, in that I've been back home and been able to get to 2 games a season. Or I've been in the city, or no, I've been living in Newcastle and got to 6 games or 7 games or whatever a season, and now I live in the city and being lucky enough to sort of go regularly. And I've always tried to appreciate that, but there are still times, you know, I think back to last season when we were playing West Ham and it was like a Monday night, and we just had we've been busy in work, and it just was I was driving there on my own, so I wasn't going to the pub or whatever, and it was just like it was felt like a bit of a chore. And I always told myself, you do not let this become, you don't ever let it be like that, you don't let yourself feel like that. But it did. But tell you what, I will never take it for granted like I did that Monday night ever again. I'm telling you that, after all of this.
Well, that's the thing too, you know, usually the Saturday like noon matches where everybody kind of is a bit morbid and complains. I doubt anyone would ever complain to go to a noon match ever again, you know.
Yeah, we'll just you know, from now on we'll just be in the pub earlier.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
if it's a noon game,
Straight
then we'll be in the pub at 8 a.m. I mean, I know it's sort of 8 a.m. for you now, but that's and that's the thing that we don't think about, is that you know, fans all around the world have different sort of you know, schedules in terms of when they have to watch the game, because, you know, you're saying it's 8 a.m. What time's the game going to be on for you? So it's 10 a.m. in the morning or something like that. Yeah. So it's just completely different to us, in that you know, we were lucky enough to speak to loads of supporters clubs around the world and sort of hear their experiences. I've said that on the podcast the last time I was on, is one of my favorite things is hearing these mad sort of match day routines from supporters clubs in, you know, America or Australia or whatever, that you're getting up in the fucking middle of the night to start drinking, or in the morning you're drinking. But
I was at the garage bar at 5:30 for that Brighton game, so.
that's incredible. But how pissed were you by 8 a.m.?
Oh man, well, I get just start all over again.
That's the problem, isn't it? Like, because we went to New York a while ago for did a couple of live shows around the game. It was like Man United away. It was 13-14. We won 3-0. Played really well. But that's it. But we were in there for like, you know, bells as it is. Like, I find it's when you walk outside and there's like just people going about the normal business, and you're like falling over, and people are looking at you like, do you know it's 10 a.m.? And you're like, do you know it's 10 a.m.?
Yeah. That's my favorite part too. I think the craziest part, I think I was in Pattaya at a Bill Shankly themed bar. Yes, you heard that correctly. It was literally Bill Shankly themed. I don't even know if it's in business anymore, but it was just like me and 5 Scousers, and like the bar owner was a Scouser, and the kickoff was at 3 a.m. for Champions League games and things like that. So we were like, I was like showing up then. I was there for boxing stuff, right? So I would just show up there like 3 o'clock in the morning. We were like surrounded by like, it was like National Geographic documentary Pattaya, like very, very like, whoa. But it's like the only thing that would bring me to this neighborhood right now is football. Like, that is the only thing. There was no other reason that you would ever really set foot in there. And it was like, oh, it was so weird. But it was like the best little group we had going, because who else is going to do that? People who are just diehard. And I think it's really cool that you guys actually have had to experience what a lot of international fans experience in terms of like not being able to go to the match, trying to make the best of it on a screen. And also like, yeah, that feeling, that golden ticket feeling, like you were saying, like anybody internationally that gets to travel to Anfield, it's such a big deal. I was also lucky enough to meet a couple Reds at a Christmas party. Last year I played, 2 years ago, I was Santa Claus in Bangkok, right? And like, I was just drinking whiskey with these 2 guys. Yeah. I'm fat and jolly, okay? It just goes with it. They didn't have a problem with Black Santa over there, so it was like, yeah, these two guys I ended up drinking with. One of them was a huge Liverpool supporter, absolutely huge Liverpool supporter. I think he was going over to the game in the next 2 weeks, and we just talked about football all night. I think we finished 2-3 bottles of Johnny Walker between like 4 of us. And it was absolutely great. And he was just so excited to talk to someone else about Liverpool. And so that was like another holiday story. Christmas in Bangkok talking about Liverpool Football Club. Like, come on, that's the best.
I've watched Liverpool in Thailand a couple of times, in Bali, so Southeast Asia twice, 3 or 4 times. No, yeah, 3 times. And it is mad. It's because it's a 3 a.m. job of if it's a night game. And 3 a.m. means that you've done your night out and you've come back. So, like for Bali, it was I actually met one of the he's an Anfield rap contributor, Paddy Fitz, and he was there with his girlfriend. We just happened to be on the same island at the same time. We went and watched Arsenal, the one that Matip scores and Salah scores last season. But I also remember, because it was 3 o'clock in the morning, by the second half there were 2 Matips on the screen. So, I don't know how they do it, but I love that. That's one of my favorite things about supporting Liverpool, really, is that there are these sort of mini communities like yourselves, all around America, all around the world. Like we were putting a list together for something we're looking to do in the future, of just mad places that Liverpool fans are. And there was like, well, you have this, like Mumbai, Iraq, Puerto Rico. It was all of these places that's just this football team from a sort of small city in the context of the whole world, has sort of, meant that there's these communities of people sort of getting together. And when you're in these places, you know what to do. You know what to do to find people. You just look at the Liverpool fixtures and find a community that's sort of in that area.
Yeah, there'll be
and I just want to give a quick shout out to the 2 guys cycling across Kenya right now to raise money from LFC in Kenya. They're cycling, I think, 1,500 miles between 2 cities in Kenya. And please, God, be safe. Don't get eaten by any lions that literally be eaten by lions. If that's not dedication, I don't know what it is. But it's got the MoyaleOdyssey. If anybody goes to find LFC Kenya on Twitter or Facebook, you could just find out. And they're just taking donations. Literally a $5 donation or whatever could literally feed a family for a week. So if anybody does have the extra scratch, I know times are tough around the world. They could really use it over there. It makes all the difference in places like Kenya. So congrats to those guys and good luck to you if you're listening.
I'll be pedaling really fast through lion country.
Yeah, I hope you can cycle fast, is all I'm saying.
They're over halfway, aren't they? I saw a tweet from them, I think yesterday, and they were at the halfway point, and they look a great lick, these boys, as well. Like, you know what I mean? It's not like me and Craig doing it.
Hey, I'm bad knees, but I love cycle.
I just feel like a human kebab. I just be like a nice kebab out there for any lion coming to get me, because I'm not going very fast.
Yeah, Craig, I don't know how fast you'd be going through Africa on your Pee Wee Herman bike, but that'd be.
I've got a cool bike. I've got a Hey, why are you laughing? You're menaced.
Good joke.
Yeah. I'm gonna make sure and put a picture of my bike up so they don't think I'm gonna be here.
From a belt of wheels.
Well, we know what you're getting for Christmas then.
Yeah.
Steve.
Yes.
You got some questions for him?
Oh, I do have a question, actually. I don't know. I know we're trying to be festive here, but what kind of fallout have you heard, or what is your stance on just the lineup that we played in that last game? And, because I know there's a lot of controversy about the lineup that we put out, the starters that played so many minutes for a game that really was not consequential to the standing. So I'd be interested to hear what you guys had to say or what you're hearing out there.
Yeah, I mean, it's there. Obviously, there's a lot of people saying, love Jurgen, but can't understand it, can't understand why he was so strong. And it's hard, isn't it? Because, we had this chance to a free week almost, didn't we, to rest almost everyone. It's strange that he didn't take it after he's talked so much about the toll on the players and things like that. I think it probably would have been forgotten had it not been for the sort of Jota industry, like injury. Sorry, everyone would have sort of moved on by now. But now that's there, that everyone's, sort of making a big deal out of it. I feel for Jurgen in a way, because obviously, like, we don't have all the information he has, and I think that the general point he's been trying to make is that he it's not so much the number of games, it's how they're spaced out and how the TV companies don't really take into account kind of what people have been other things apart from, well, we want this game here, so it's going there. So he doesn't like the Wednesday night and the early Saturday, rather than saying that these Wednesday games sort of shouldn't be taking place. And I think also you've got to remember they're not all footballers are the same. So there's some who could play every day, and then there's some like Joe Matip who obviously needs like a week between games, it seems, and then everyone else is sort of in between, really. And so I think we need to kind of, as fans, kind of remember that, really, that just because he thinks that Mo Salah can do 100 minutes on a Wednesday, and why not? It doesn't necessarily mean that sort of everyone can, really. And so if he's looking at it and thinking, well, this guy's good to go, then we've just sort of got to back that, really. But I think what I would say is that he has made future kind of arguments a little bit more difficult for himself, rightly or wrongly, really. I think next time that he moans about the schedule, this is inevitably going to get sort of thrown in his face, really, that, well, you had this chance and you didn't take it. But listen, players can get injured anytime. We've had, Alisson got the shoulder injury, was just in training, wasn't it? Impact one, you can get injured. And we had a reserve goalkeeper once back in the day, Daz, I remember, got injured. He dropped an iron and bent down to grab it and did his shoulder. Stensgaard, I think it was, or it does. So, yeah, injuries in sort of mad situations. And so it can kind of happen. But yeah, as I say, I think it had moved on fairly quickly if it wasn't for the Jota thing. But the Jota thing means he's going to run and run. And I think Klopp's made things a little bit tricky for himself. What I would say is there's a little bit of a rumour, again, the Liverpool rumour mill. We love a gossip around this idea that, you get £2.5 million to win a game, and maybe that's why they took it so seriously in the Champions League. I can't say for certain, but I'm reasonably sure that if someone from FSG said to Jurgen, you need a strong team in this because we want that 2.5 million paid, Klopp would tell them where to go. That's what I'm saying.
I think it's a hard one. It's a hard one either way, because initially when we'd gotten through, I'd thought, well, do you know what? Just play the kids, complete kids. Don't even fly with Salah. Don't fly with Fabinho. Don't risk, anything with any of the key senior players. But I think if you throw an under-19s side into a Champions League game, it's a lot different than throwing them into Villa, in the League Cup. And we saw what happened to them in Villa League Cup. Now, they come out of that and they get to have said they played for Liverpool and so on. But I think you almost are sort of throwing them under the bus if you do it in the Champions League. And I think that's something that Klopp will have to contend with. Is it better that Leighton Clarkson plays in the midfield in the team that he did and gets a draw away in the Champions League? Is that better for his development than if he flies over with the rest of the under-19s team with none of the key senior players and they get thumped 6-0? And I think it's probably the first one. I think as football fans, we think of the here and now, and we think of, we just think game by game, get 3 points, who's going to be fit. And I think the fact that Jota comes out of that and we're all a bit fuming about that. That's annoying. It's Jurgen's job to sort of think longer term and think not just about the key senior players, to think about the other players that in 2 years' time is going to do a job for him in 3 years' time. So I think that's something that he would have had to have contend with. I think Mo Salah would have probably just wanted to play anyway because he just wants to score loads of goals. And I think it's a really hard one to say to him, no, mate, you're not flying in this game. And he's going, well, I want to get top goal scorer boot in the Champions League. So it's difficult. And like Gibbo said, the one thing about all of this is feels like Klopp's at the sort of the front of this movement in terms of trying to sort of fight back against the TV schedules, and this kind of maybe undermines it in a way. But we'll see what the fallout is. Hopefully, this will probably go out after the Fulham game. Hopefully we've beaten Fulham. Hopefully we go on, we beat Spurs. And then the run isn't too bad. And fingers crossed Jota isn't out for too long, and then, all goes away.
That's the thing too, because Jota only played 15 minutes against Wolves. So, obviously Klopp wanted him to play in the game. It's funny because nobody's actually talking about Tsimikas, because he got injured as well. But it seems like nobody gives a shit about him.
Yeah, you haven't seen enough of him yet, it's crazy because now we've signed players, and now like 3 of our major signings have injuries, and Jota is the exception, but Thiago and Tsimikas have under 5 games. It's like, what's going on here? I've always thought this season was going to be interesting and weird, and people would kind of have to throw out their typical notions of like what football is going to be like this year, not just only because of the supporters, but because of the condensed schedule, because teams are going to be playing, top-level footballers are going to be playing pretty much 24 months straight, with maybe like 1 month off. It's really, really difficult in terms of injuries going forward. And it's funny because I think now, like, we've been a little bit, mum on what's going on with Jota, because Klopp's sick and tired of getting grilled in the press over everything. I think he's exhausted by it. He's quite annoyed by it. And stateside, there was just the MLS Cup final, and they're literally interviewing the managers during the game live during a final, and there's like a level of trust with the journalism that the managers feel comfortable speaking live to everyone during the match, which I think is like totally insane. But if you contrast it to the Premier League, where Klopp is like, listen, English is my second language, you guys are overanalyzing everything I say, like, it's exhausting. Even like, in Gino and Autumn's press conference last week, where they're asking about his contract, and he's just like, can we just talk about the game, like things like that. Klopp he's not sure if he wants to give people any more speculation, any more questions, any more things to talk about, because he just wants a team to kind of focus on itself. Like right now, they've got so many young players that they've had to develop rather quickly. And I think it's a testament to Jurgen Klopp's system that we've had like 3 or 4 young players be able to step in immediately. I don't think that could have happened under Rodgers, Benitez, even Kenny for that matter. So I think that's a testament to what Jurgen Klopp is doing at Liverpool. I mean, Kelleher is excellent. I think he's going to challenge Alisson. He's going to challenge him, and he wants to. He's a young kid. He's 22. He looks absolutely fit. Curtis is fantastic. Curtis is fantastic for a young player. Just his whole mentality, even the way he plays. I think Neko has done really well dealing with the criticism, which has been really tough. Sometimes I think he overplays because he just wants to silence his critics. But like for me, some people say, oh, you don't want to be doing the safe thing. But for me, I'm like, no, I want my 19-year-old kids doing the same thing, and then giving the ball to players like Henderson and Mo Salah and better players in them. So it's been like crazy, and I think it'll be crazy right to the end.
I think with Nico Williams, like, you can't, especially as a young player, but as any sort of player, you can't switch confidence on and you can't switch it off. And if he is playing it a bit safe, that's because he's a bit low on confidence after sort of performances or things that are said online or whatever. But I think the game, I think, was it Ajax, the game against Ajax, where he gets the assist and he puts in a decent performance. Obviously, that's one for him to build on now, and that's exactly what he needed. And that's, with those games comes that confidence that then suddenly, he will do the things that he's good at rather than just playing it safe. Because the thing is, if in football, if you're having a bad game, they always tell you, right, do the safe thing, build it up until you've got the confidence to whip in the cross for Curtis's goal. And I think that's what we'll see. So this is an education for him. It's an education for any young footballer that comes in and plays at Liverpool, but it's the best place for the education and it's the best place to learn. But yeah, the dickheads on social media need to stop, really.
It's part of the master plan anyway to get Ox more playing time, because once again, it's like a new signing.
Well, hearing he's on the bench today, so that's great. It's great for him and great for Liverpool, and because he can offer something a little bit different, obviously, to the other midfielders we've got. So fingers crossed, this is part of a decent little run for Ox, because we know what we can do when we get him on the pitch.
That's right.
Do you think come January we are going to dip into the transfer market for a centre back, or do you think Klopp's just going to go, let's stick with what we've got?
I've never been able to read Jurgen Klopp in a transfer market. You think, like, I think the best thing now is that nothing ever gets out. It used to feel like around March time every year, the journalists would write an article and it'd be all of Liverpool's transfer targets, and then we'd be able to do shows off the back of it, because that's how I know. But now we can't, because they don't let anything out, and that's exactly what they should do.
Bob Gummin disagrees, by the way.
Yeah.
Permanently disagrees.
I think they should go into the market, and I think they might have anyway at the end of this season. I think they maybe just have to bring that 6 months forward. I think what's interesting about all of this is, and I don't know whether this is by design or by accident, but Fabinho has just turned out to be, incredible at centre back. And I think I read something today on Twitter where in each of his appearances at centre back, he hasn't let in a goal in open play. Obviously there's a penalty he gives away, but we'll skim past that. But he's been a revelation at centre back, and so I just hope that isn't the thing that Klopp goes, well, do you know what, we'll hold off, because he's come into this season with 3 centre backs and we've now lost 2 of those. So I really hope we do go in for someone that, the one thing I'll always say with Jurgen Klopp is Jurgen Klopp, I don't think in the past couple of years, but he doesn't buy stopgaps. He buys players that he really, really wants, and if he can't get the player that he really, really wants, then I'd imagine he maybe waits until the end of the season.
I just have a funny suspicion that Virgil's going to be coming back quicker than what everybody thinks. Just because he's just built like a brick shithouse.
But they've been putting out pictures of him on the club's social media.
Looks fine.
I know.
He can play next week.
Get him out there on crutches. He'll be all right.
I did another podcast, and they said to me, they're like, he's walking, he's doing exercises, and I think the thing with an ACL injury is you have to get moving as quickly as possible after the operation, and so that'll be the reason why all of that's happening. But I thought it was interesting they would do that, in that I don't want to see sort of Virgil's road back. I want him to sort of be put in the background, because he's no good to Liverpool right now. It's just the players that we've got available that are good for Liverpool. So I don't want to have like the ghost of Virgil sort of like on the sidelines with every game, and if things maybe around March, there's a little draw or there's a mistake made and people are saying, well, when's Virgil back? And suddenly it becomes a thing. I don't want that. I just want him to rehabilitate in the background, let those on the pitch sort of do the business, and then suddenly we're all surprised one day whenever he's in the first team squad. That'd be brilliant, wouldn't it? That won't happen.
Virgil. You mean Reece Williams, who looks like he's the ghost of Christmas past for Virgil van Dijk? He's like a mini Verge.
Yeah,
but he's playing so well.
Dinners. He needs to eat some more. Yeah, he's slotted in really well, and Phillips. I mean, fair play to like Phillips, because he was on his way out, and now he's just got stuck in. That's what I mean about this team. They work for one another. They're like, I'm with the team. Let's do our best. And I'm amazed. I'm actually amazed that we're still like, well, Spurs fans won't say we're joint top, but we are joint top on points. But I'm just amazed that we've stuck together and we'll get through this. And like you said, Craig, hopefully January we dip in and get a centre half and see how things go from there. Because I would like to see Fabinho back in midfield. That's his position. And then Ox is back. Thiago will come back in 2022. So we're all good with that.
Don't worry, James Milner will still be playing, so he'll be fine.
That's another. I'd forgotten that Milner had got injured as well. So
the list is long, and Liverpool. I still think Liverpool's squad with the injury list is better than everyone else anyway. So I think we'll be all right. But the fact that they've been able to overcome these adversities sort of early in the season, and they're still amongst it, they're in the next round of the Champions League. It's a massive, massive positive, considering that we've got so many players to come back.
Imagine winning the title at a canter last season, but then if we win the title this season with all these injuries, what an amazing job that Klopp has done. It would be unbelievable.
Definitely. I love how Klopp's already getting in people's heads. I mean, you saw Lampard. He's already gone cuckoo.
That Lampard, the post-match interview last night was crazy. I turned on And I turned on the last 10 minutes of the Everton game to see what was going on with it, and I saw the Lampard's interview, and I don't know what he was trying to say. I think he was trying to say that his team aren't as good as what people are saying they should be, which is a sort of mad stance really to have. But the Reds are much better than everyone else.
€226 million. They spent €226 million.
How about taking pressure off himself, innit? Take pressure off yourself.
Yeah.
That's why Klopp's so great. Well, one of the reasons, one of the many reasons.
For sure. Who knows? Like, with the transfer market too, I think it's just a matter of like what other teams can do as well. Because for Liverpool to get a player of quality that we need, other teams are going to have to give up one of their best players. And with the current financial situation, everything like that, how many teams are kind of willing to risk the season by giving up one of their best players too soon? So who knows? We're all in the dark here, but that's fine. He's all right. He's doing all right. Don't you guys think? Yeah,
but we have Michael Edwards as well. He goes under the radar and just gets the best price, because obviously probably other teams be overpriced for a centre half. There's the Schalke lad that I'm hearing about. But they seem to be dipping down in the price now because they need money, just like every other team. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, I can't even believe it's like Christmas already in 2 weeks. I don't know where this year's flown by. I mean, January.
We've all just been staring at a corner all year, just staring at a corner,
staring at people on screens. Like,
yeah. Well, I mean, Zoom's brilliant for all of this. It's much better than talking on the phone. At least you can see one another. That's one good thing that I guess comes out of this pandemic, is we've been able to still, talk to one another, have a good chat and everything. But the situation now for you is like you're already doing the vaccine, aren't you?
I think the vaccine started to be rolled out in the UK. I don't know. It obviously with the vulnerable and with people that work for the NHS, but in terms of
Evertonians,
I have no idea in terms of the time scale of when when we'll sort of see mass rollout. Really, I think as long as the vulnerable are getting it and the people that are working in the front line, I think that's the main thing. Hopefully that then sort of is the beginning of us being able to return to normality, really.
Definitely. Well, hopefully, everybody has a good Christmas and holiday. I'm looking forward to the fixtures. More football for me to watch. Get me kids involved. Try not to swear too much.
Yeah, we really
learn some new words.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys taking time out. I know it's a match day, but we appreciate you guys, having to sit down with us, and it's always good to see you guys, obviously. And
it's a pleasure. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, no worries. We're just we're gutted we didn't get the comeback in March, but hopefully we'll be able to get to Austin and get a night out in Austin. We've heard good things, so hopefully we'll be able to sort of get that sorted.
Stuff you full of brisket.
Yeah, we're here waiting for you guys for sure. Yeah,
brilliant, nice one.
Hey, Imani, don't you have a Chrimbo song we can sing, Imani?
Oh yeah, Merry Christmas, everyone. Or Merry Christmas, Everton. My bad, man. That was so much fun. It was so much fun singing that in Austin last year. I cannot wait back and hang out with LFC Austin. Those guys are really, really cool. Like, I love being like in that Austin community. So I'll be back soon, and we could sing all the songs. And we like to get it going in there. We like to get a good bounce going. I mean, it's such an arm and a leg to get over to Liverpool. I can't believe I've been in Europe for almost a year, and like there's been no football. It's been like, it's just been absolutely insane. I'll probably never have an opportunity like this maybe in my life, that I would be in this close proximity. But I can't wait. It's going to be so exciting. And like, when you guys come back to Austin, I'll be living there too. So I'm like super stoked.
Cheers.
I'm excited.
Yeah. Merry Christmas, Neverton.
Yeah. Well, cheers, fellas, and stay safe, and Merry Christmas.
Cheers.
Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. Happy Hanukkah to everybody as well.
Thanks for having us.
Cheers.